All right. Again, it's Todd and Anna, and welcome to our live stream brought to you by Life Quest Institute. Here it is, Wednesday again. Happy Wednesday to you all. A big shout out to those who've been following along with us for all the live stream videos, and welcome to those who are with us today for the first time. Be sure to say hello, where you are from, share any thoughts, comments, or even ask any questions. Towards the end of the show, we will take time to go over your thoughts, well wishes, and questions. If you are a new guest to this event and missed any of the other shows, you can find them in the announcement section of Awaken the Shift Facebook page. You will find the answers to many questions we've been asking, including information on how and why we created Awaken the Shift, how we got started, what we have been working on these last couple of years in the transformation to Life Quest Institute. As we've said before, enjoy these recordings with no judgment. We are all going through the same process with similar struggles, even if it deals with various life challenges and lessons. We are all here to learn and overcome as we learn to get along with each other, co-creating the new earth. It won't do any good to drag our old, worn-out, tired beliefs, which will only perpetuate what we have already been going through on the earth. That needs to change. Overall, we need to do our part. This means being responsible and accountable for the life we want to create personally, as well as the life we want to see globally. Anna, are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
This is a great little topic. So before we get started though, let's talk about the keyword. I always got a keyword for you. So
Yes.
The purpose is to use the word to encourage those aha moments throughout your week. So a simple reminder to bring you back from overthinking, thinking, and just kind of dwelling and muddling and depressiveness and whatever. So Today's keyword is embrace.
Okay.
Embrace. Definition.
Right.
Hang on, I got it. To accept or support a belief, a theory.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that the definition would say theory when there's so much conspiracy theories?
Right.
Anyway, or a change. So we're going to accept and support willingly and enthusiastically. Synonyms are things such as welcoming, accepting, taking to one's heart, receive with open arms, adopt, support. The antonym, very important, is to reject. So let's embrace the new life on the new earth that's being created.
Yes. Okay, so let's begin the live stream with a definition of the Veil of Forgetfulness. As it lifts, we definitely want to be in place of embracing the different shifts and changes that will be happening. Great keyword today.
Okay.
All right, there is a reference to the Veil of Forgetfulness as far back as Plato's Republic. Originally known as the River of Forgetfulness, turned into the Veil of Forgetfulness, which is a reference to the soul forgetting its past and its life beyond the physical body before reincarnating. Essentially, this means that prior to coming into this incarnation, we choose to allow our conscious awareness to forget ever making this decision. With that, we forget about the spiritual beings that we are. Now, of course, if you had all that in your memory of your past lives, you wouldn't be able to focus a lot of your attention in this life. So it is a good thing to have the Veil of Forgetfulness so we can study on what we need to learn in this incarnation.
Well, it wouldn't be legit.
Right.
It would be softened up, buffered, so if you kind of got that clue ahead of time, then you would make different choices based on, but I already know the answers to that, so yeah. So, and so then let's talk about how that relates to the third dimension. And so the third dimension is low vibration. It's a low frequency of energy. We are in this energy. It's the playground that we're in. As human beings, we have experienced a variety of life experiences in the third dimension. Definitely a polarized state of emotional experiences from separation, duality, power, fear, manipulations. And I think we can all agree that we've experienced many of these emotional dramas, if you will, and many more. I don't have them all listed. There's so many.
Due to this shift in consciousness, we are experiencing higher vibrational frequencies of energy. This includes higher frequencies of light energies throughout the entire planet, as well as the enlightening within each of our bodies, encouraging us to become more aware, focused, awake, and just more conscious.
And then those feel like keywords too, more keywords. And
Right,
but what we are focused on exactly. So it's the awareness, the awakening, the consciousness. It's not the key we chose today, but it
Right, and
like,
then also with the energies coming in, you think of like a tidal wave, and the various energies to break up beliefs that we have about ourselves, that we have about the physical reality, that we have about religion. All these beliefs that have done us good up until now, we need to break those apart and look at them differently. And that's kind of a big aspect of what the shift in consciousness is doing.
So before we go on, I want to chat about a moment. Oren's here.
Oren, he's made it. Nice.
Well, he says he has a few extra minutes this morning. Good. So he's on his way to the eye doctor, and said he wasn't going to be able to make it, but he's here on a few minutes before his appointment.
Yeah, he's got the Magi as the eye doctor.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
Very interesting. If he's a true Magi. If he's a true Magi, you might want to pick his brain on. However, if he's putting all his achievements on the stuff, I don't know. Usually they keep that a secret.
Okay, we also have, as well, always, Marcel.
Marcel, yes.
And he just puts Nibiru with exclamation. So we'll
yes.
Georgiana Carter.
Nice, Georgiana.
Love it. That's her last name. I said Georgiana Carter, then I hesitated, and then went, love it. As in, dual meaning. Okay. So anyway, welcome everyone. Anyone else, please let us know you're here so we can do a shout out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we're waking up to.
Right.
All right. So we are waking up to the shift, also known as the shift in consciousness, or the evolution of consciousness, or the ascension process. Call it many things. There's many things out there, and it's meaning pretty much the same thing. So we're discovering there's more to life. We got kind of bored, got mundane, kind of got into ruts, and there's more to life. And it kind of is getting people to ask questions about what is there more of. And we are rediscovering that we are more than the human selves in this clothing, not this clothing. Where's the camera? Not this clothing that we're wearing. So that's a tall order to keep pecking away at that and discovering.
Right. So we are being reintroduced to our spiritual self, our spiritual essence. There is a new way of experiencing life that doesn't include the low third dimensional vibrations. We are lifting the veil of forgetfulness. We are seeing beyond the illusion of the third dimension. Things are not getting worse. They are getting uncovered. We must hold each other tight and continue to pull back the veil. Right. Yeah. So there is a lot of ugliness because there's a lot of sadistic stuff that's been going on along the planet, and that needs to rise up. We need to recognize it, accept it, transcend it, move beyond it.
And I like the part where we kind of hold on to each other tight. It's kind of like that tightness in whether it's physical but also emotional, and speaking the same language with each other and asking each other questions. And how did you come across that information? As far as, was it a download? Was it something that you read? It's kind of like having these kind of more depthy conversations. But many are fighting the shift and changes that are so needed. Change is not easy for anyone. I don't like it, just like anybody else. I think I do invite it a lot more. I do ding 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 embrace it a lot more. I'll step into the conversation literally with my feet getting close to the conversation, like step in instead of kind of, and then the arms crossed and all that body language. And the majority want to hold on to what we know and not let go of the familiar. I get it. I understand. This is due to the fear of the unknown, of course, the fear of the unexpected, which we have no control over. So whether it's a shift or not, we still don't have any control. But then again, we need to ding, 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 embrace the change, because there is an unprecedented event. I know I could say that. Unprecedented event that's happening on the planet. No doubt. Can't miss it. It's getting loud.
All right, so most of humanity believes there are only humans living on a planet called Earth, and every other planet for that matter. We live, eat, work, and die, and our human self dissolves back to ash. This being the only reality, how can some other reality possibly be conceptualized? What could be the imagination? What could the imagination conjure up? Confusion, doubt, more doubt, unfathomable, unimaginable. This can't be right.
I mean, when we kind of drift into those unfathomable imaginations and ideas, and how it's kind of like a movie maybe going on in your head. This can't be right. That's a fluke.
But it's mostly right. So it is kind of happening within inside you, because really the shift is changing your perception. So your perception is coming from the inside looking out. And as you get higher and higher and higher in consciousness, your perception will change accordingly. However, you got to transcend the pesky ego. If you don't get the ego out of the way, then you're going to have that nipping at you.
Ego likes to be in third dimension quite a bit. There's a lot there. But what's amazing is there is a lift, not only the lift of the veil, but the lift on my shoulders, the lift of anxiety, even though I have the unknown going on, but I also have a trust. There's
Right.
there's certainly a certain amount of trust that I'm like, okay, I get it. No, I don't. I get it. Yeah, I get it. And it's like, that's confused. Okay, I got it. So it's always back and forth, and it's our human nature to do that when we're not stupid people, So we've watched the ancient greats and the our great grands and our grands and the neighbors and friends live in this human perspective, this human lifestyle, which adds up to this is the only way that life is played out in experience. This is the only version. This is all we got. It's all we know. Worse is realizing the familiar of what we know, even though it's old, that it's getting dissolved. It's kind of getting chopped at the bits here. And it has to. It's this shift and the changes, truthfully, that we're looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready for bigger, better.
Right, definitely. So what does that look like? We can already see how the media, science, education, celebrities, authorities, politicians are at the beginning stages of crumbling apart. Will we revamp the old system or continue to be manipulated, or will we create a new system? So many questions about the unknown. Why would any of us want to suffer through shifts and changes? Many of us are already suffering. However, as we get further down the trail, you won't suffer as much. As long as you're doing the internal work that you need to be doing. I always like to look at it as like a tidal wave coming in. You want to be the surfer riding the wave. You don't want to be crushed by the wave.
Yeah. It's like the word suffering. Like, take that out of your vocabulary.
Right.
It just doesn't need to be there. Just ride the wave. Go with it, flow with it, and embrace it. Ding, ding, ding. Embrace it. All right, so let's slow it down a little bit.
Okay.
And let's talk about social contracts.
Nice.
Okay.
Constructs.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it could be a contract too. No, but
Okay.
construct is the proper name for it. So what are they? What are social constructs? A social construct is something that exists simply because humans agree that it exists or should exist. It's what we create. It's what we develop. And we'll get into a couple of examples in a moment.
All right, so the question to ask is, why did we create certain social constructs? Did we need things labeled? Do we need them to make sense of what is going on in our physical world?
Here is kind of like where many of humanity's problems stem from. Because maybe these social constructs, maybe these social constructs aren't truly something that want. It's not necessary anymore. We outgrew them maybe. And to some degree or on some level, we agreed as a collective of the different social constructs.
Right.
Together we created that. And at this point, we got to look at dismantling, moving them on, creating something better. So here's an example: how or who was creating and managed the different countries that we have on the planet. Let's start with the countries, okay? Who decided exactly where the borders would divide the different countries from one another? Like Canada and America. Like who created that line that looks like it goes kind of across, but Mexico kind of goes like this,
Right.
Or Italy with France and Australia. They're all touching on each other. Who created those borders? So that's a great example of social construct.
Right, and what about money? How was money created, developed and managed? How were loans designed and interest rates or savings accounts created? At some point, we had to agree about the money systems. And if we didn't personally agree, we agreed to the proxies who would manage, take care of the details. Politicians come to mind. What about the taxes? We all have questions about how taxes are designed and assigned. Would houses and homes exist if we didn't have social constructs about them? Schools, colleges, lakes, mountains, trees, all things to think about.
Yeah, to truly think about. And then there's the social construct of race, hot topic. Why is one race stronger than another? The construct helped us to identify different skin color, style, features. Is racism getting better or is it getting worse? I mean, it's getting pretty loud out there. So,
Right.
and maybe this is a way to heal it.
Yeah, right. And we did find a good comment, a quote on racism from McCad on Twitter. And what he quotes is, racism is dying. I know it looks like it's being reinvigorated, but that's what happens when something is dying. It calls out for help and support. An ideology is alive, and like all living things, it fights to stay alive, especially on its deathbed. Hold on, a new consciousness is coming.
That's amazing.
Yeah, great
comment.
quote.
Yeah, you know, we can quote it from Mehcad, but at the same time, it's kind of really gels with everything that we're talking about because the change and the shift is also part of that. Let's scroll down just a little bit on that again, Todd. Okay, so it's saying if we took out racism and put the what could we put there? I don't want to say the shift is dying because it's not the shift. It's third dimension is dying, and it says, I know it looks like it's reinvigorated, but that's what happens when something is dying. So third dimension is disappearing.
Exactly, Lauren.
And it calls out for help and support.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we can see by this quote is that social constructs can change. We have that ability. We have the wherewithal. We can make changes. What if the new earth is all about recreating these social constructs in a new, healthier version? Great question. So the big question continues to be, now what?
All right, so what we know is we are experiencing those who invite and embrace shifts and changes versus the people that dig their heels in and don't want to see any change. There is much anxiety and stress of the unknown. What are the new rules? How do we navigate our lives? What's the new direction to head for? And it's just more creativity. That's what you could say it this way. You could say at the religious era when Jesus and all that took place, that was the first divine intervention, the first shift. So that got us set up to fall like a moral playbook, right? So then now we've outgrown that moral playbook. Not that we were going to become immoral, but we ask for, as a collective, we ask for more to stretch our creativity. So that starts the second shift, which is the shift that we're in right now. So it's going to be amazing because the reality of what we are as spiritual beings is just extraordinary, and we haven't even scratched the surface of the powers that we have.
We haven't touched that 90, some call it 95% of the abilities that we have just in our brain alone.
Right, so 90% of your power is in your subconscious mind, right? So we all live from the conscious mind, which is you're only, accessing 10%. Let's get to 90%.
Yeah, okay, how about maybe instead of 10%, let's go 20. Come on, can we start at 20%?
Right.
Can we tiptoe a little bit past that 10 and get into 20, 25? Do I hear 30? Just keep growing. So what's the new course, the new route? As if we were adventurers, consider that. Like we're going in our Conestoga wagon across the prairie, and we're discovering new worlds, and quite frankly, the new earth. So here are some emotions you may be witnessing, and maybe you're experiencing these same emotions. We already mentioned anxiety and stress and fear. And okay, here's one: sleepless nights, frustrations, anger, doubt, confusion, unknowing.
And if you are having sleepless nights, confusion, frustration, just spending some time alone. I mean, I do it in the morning. I have like a morning ritual where I spend a half hour. I'm trying to build myself to an hour of just sitting with no thought. And what that will create is that creates a wave in your life. And when you come out of that meditation, you bring that wave into your world throughout your day. It's always in the background, because of that morning meditation. You'd be surprised at how much it helps you throughout your day. It's just spending time by yourself, getting away from social media. You don't see me much on social media, and I intend to get more engaged with it again, but I did take time away from it because it's all the social media and just everything going on. It's better just to...
It's a lot of noise.
And you don't need it,
Yeah.
you know?
Big changes are coming. So before you move on, okay, I do want to say that Oren's still here. He hasn't
Oren's
taken
still
off.
here.
He hasn't taken
Marcel's
off.
still here. Yep.
And Georgiana, and then oh my gosh, where's the rest of the comments? Here we go again. Facebook's not giving them all to me because Georgie, share your friend who's excited that you're here as well as she's here. I know you guys are buddies.
Yeah, you should look into that after the show. Figure out why.
Okay,
You know.
hang on. Yeah,
Okay,
because
so anyways,
remember, we're at least almost a full minute, like 45 seconds ahead. So anyway, Marcel, he says a world without money. Michael Tillinger, and Oren says the ones crushed by the wave that you were talking about are the ones that fear it. Grab your board and ride on it. Right?
Yes,
ride the wave.
Exactly.
It sure beats fighting it. That's for sure. And I think of the Atlantic Ocean. I was born and raised in Miami. That Atlantic Ocean, if you don't go with it, man, you get crushed.
Right. And some people just aren't going to make it. I mean, we're eternal beings. You know, you try to, if people are freaked out, you try to ask them what their beliefs around their freak out is, and then get them to start breaking their own beliefs down. And, you know, you got to reconcile your beliefs to make it through the shift.
And Oren says we evolve. Correct?
Yes.
And some faster, some better, some who ding 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 embrace.
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, look, it's not even coming up. All right, so let's move on from. I can't get to all of the comments just now, so I'll give it a few minutes to ramp up.
All right, so this isn't a movie that we are comfortably seated in front of a large screen and watching from our local movie theater. This isn't a dream, right? This isn't, or a nightmare we are going to wake from. You know, this is actually happening. You know, why is there a shift anyway? Why have we separated from our spiritual selves, right? So I kind of went through that because we got to a level of consciousness where as a collective we are bored and we want to expand our creativity in other directions, which brings upon the shift in consciousness so that we can move to that next level of consciousness.
So in many ways we allowed ourselves to be duped. You know,
right.
Because we didn't ask questions. We are too accepting of... You know, we didn't want to get involved. We didn't want to look dumb asking questions. We didn't want to be chastised for asking questions.
Right. I mean, there's two aspects to this. There is the spiritual aspect, and right. So a lot of people aren't hypnotized. They're not
coma.
Yeah, they're not in a coma. They're not right. That's why I kind of want to make a definite line here, because there's a lot of people that have walked the planet that have been very on a spiritual driven track. They didn't care about all the craziness was going on, right? And then you got the rest of the population, which is probably 90%, 95%, and they've been living a mundane lifestyle. They've been hypnotized by television. They've become, and you could say to a certain extent, we've all become programmed by the television. You know, it seems we are in a coma.
But that's why this particular show is about the veil is lifting, because that coma veil that's been hidden, or we're peeling back that layer. So we're not going to be in a coma state. We're going to evolve beyond it.
Right.
So let's get to the next part of the outline.
Right. Well, I thought you were going to go over these different things.
I would if I could see them.
Oh, yeah.
Can you see them? No. Okay. So what can we do? Ty, what can we do?
Right. All right. So what we need to do is we need to heal ourselves. We could begin with recognizing the consequences of, some individuals out there probably had childhood trauma. Maybe things have happened in your family that you've got to move past. Right? So that you got to reconcile with that, because if you don't reconcile with that, it becomes a dead weight onto you. if you were mentally abused as a child and you were told you were no good, you were this, you know, you weren't good at that. That's hitting your self-image. Now your self-image, which is embedded into your subconscious, is saying you're not good, or you have sayings about your life that are negative. It's coming from your self-image. You got to get into the core of the problem, which is your self-image, and start recreating a better self-image.
And some people feel that their self-image is tied to how they're of service to others by fixing them or being a people pleaser.
Fix yourself first.
Fix yourself first. And it's kind of like that other live stream we did, where it's kind of like mind your own business. And it's kind of, it seems heartless. You know, like we don't care about, you can do all that, but fix yourself first. So because it creates codependency and, I don't know, all kinds of different fears that need to be healed. So a lot of abandonment issues on the planet. There's just a lot of that. I know, as working with individuals and stuff. And it doesn't have to be abandonment just because the parents aren't together. There's all kinds of abandonment, from even sibling abandonment. So anyway, it's a lot. The need to prove themselves is a big one also. You know, kind of being bigger, better, and sharing things that maybe, you know, the fish is this big, but really it was this big. Just all kinds of things that we do. And narcissism is very big, and then we attract narcissism to us, whether it's family, friend, neighbor, a partner. And we don't have boundaries. We don't know how to set boundaries.
Right.
Right.
I mean, boundaries are very important in all your relationships, family, friends, co-workers. I'd also say the work within you, right? There's two circles in your life. You have your circle of influence, which is real small, and then you have your circle of concern, right? Which is global warming, or not saying that global warming is not real, but you really can't do anything about the ice caps, but you could put your trash and split it at the trash bin, right? So that's working within your circle of influence, right? So then working with individuals and having problem with relating with individuals, so you have stimulus response, right? So the wisdom between stimulus and response is how you choose to respond. So the more wisdom you have, the better you respond to external stuff coming upon you. I think a lot of people have issues with that, right?
Yeah, definitely. All things to consider. And if you haven't already grabbed a pencil and pen, paper, you know, write some of this down, because there's some great clues here on how to...
Yeah, and the thing that we're going to be, you know, launching soon is a spiritual growth platform, and that's going to be a community online, and we're going to have micro courses on it, right? So it'd be like how to live a remarkably resilient life, you know, when we go into Stoic philosophy, or how to master your mind and emotions, you know. So we're going to have all these different topics on various spiritual growth information that will help you in various ways through your spiritual awakening.
I want to cut you off here for a moment. I finally got...
You got them all?
It finally caught up to us. And Jordana's friend, Leslie Phillips, was the name that I wasn't able to pull from my archive, my own archive. So, Leslie, welcome. She asked me a question about whether we were on Zoom or not. But it doesn't matter. She's here anyway. So, and we're not Zoom, as you can see. So I guess in the end, the real challenge is to learn how to step beyond all that drama. You know, we've talked about it already, so we're going to kind of summarize and grow beyond this, the ego, and live open-heartedly, see the light, the divine love shining within ourselves, within all of the creatures, and with all things, all living things. So ultimately, there's only one way to calmly embrace, did I say it? Ding, 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 ding. The changes that are before us, and that's to trust that there is a divine plan and that everything is in divine order. just maybe say those kinds of things to yourself. It's in the divine plan. I don't get it, but it's in the divine plan.
Right.
And embrace it. Ding, 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 ding. Sorry, I can't help myself.
Right. No, it's good. It's happening. All right, so let's leave with some encouraging thoughts. We have a quote from the Wakantanka Great Mystery. And what they quote is, "Teach me how to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, the blessings of my spirit. Teach me to trust these things so that I may enter my sacred space in love beyond my fear and thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun."
And I know we don't know how to pronounce Wakantanka,
Right.
but it is a Lakota prayer.
Is it what?
A Lakota prayer. It's from the Lakotas, so it's Indian.
Right.
Okay, so anybody who had ding ding ding, Marcel
Yeah,
says thanks,
yeah,
Marcel, for playing with me.
Yeah, he's right. Yes,
And-
if you want to change the world first, right, you got to change yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I mean, just put that as a quote, Marcel.
Yes, Marcel. Excellent.
All right. So if anybody has any questions or anything,
And if you want to change the world, right. So it's almost like what he's saying, as above, so below, as within, as so without. So if your life is a mess around you, work on internally yourself, and it's mostly has to do with the ego. And really, meditation is good to clear the mind. And you'd be surprised at just doing it for a week, how different your life and world will become outside. It will rearrange itself. It will be more at calming, more at peace.
as you're saying that, I'm just getting this, just a piece, something to share, because I know we're at the end of the show here. It's kind of like when you talk saying, work on yourself, the inner self. So start with, here's an example of not taking anything personally. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't care if they're this close in front of you, yelling, screaming, or it's on the internet, or the neighbor, whoever it is. It's just don't take it personally. Don't let that ego in. As a matter of fact, you can always say this phrase, which is, well, isn't that interesting? I'll have to ponder that. I'll have to think about that. Some sentence like that where it kind of just breaks that kind of thing that's going on. And, you don't even have to think about it at all. It could be totally wrong, and it doesn't, but don't take it personally. Find a way to dissolve it in a way that doesn't have a personal attack on you.
Right.
So,
and a good way to talk to your ego, so if something does come in, you have a weird thought, you would say to yourself, who is this thought for, right? And then, of course, you're going to answer, well, it's for me. Well, who am I? Right? Because you're trying to get beyond the ego. Who am I? So the reality is we want to dissolve our ego. Your ego is your mind. We live from a conscious perspective. We need to start living from a subjective perspective, which is our subconscious mind. The whole thing of the shift is to move the subconscious mind in place of the conscious mind, dissolve the ego in its place, and purely live in the now moment, right? Because once mind's gone, there is no past, there is no future. And we'll have more on that too. I'm creating a little micro course on that.
yeah, we're getting beyond the veil. I mean, that's like the next step in the veil. But
Yeah.
I think ultimately, we've got the Facebook page called Awaken the Shift. Awaken the Shift. Okay, awaken to the shift. Awaken. How many times do we need another love and light meme? How many times we're awakened? I mean, if
Right.
you're on the page, you're awakened. So there comes a time and a place where we have to get to the other side of the awakening and start creating, co-creating.
Right. And you could call that self-realization. You could call it ascension. You could call it living from the subjective mind. Many phrases for it, and only few have actually accomplished it.
So if we're on the other side, we can leave the old 3D behind. It doesn't
Yeah.
serve like
Yeah.
it used to.
And remember, the shift's all about perception. It's the you're not going anywhere. Your perception's going to change. And then you're going to have intuition. You're going to have all these different senses coming on board, which is our true natural self, right? We're just really getting rid of all the junk so the true self can rise up
It's almost like when the old self rises up, because we're traversing both. We're in the third and fourth, got 1 foot in each of the dimensions. So when the old kind of bubbles up in a not nice way, an ego kind of way, it's kind of like, that's really funny, but I'm on it.
Right,
I got
right.
this. So play with it. Have fun with it.
All right, good show.
Yeah.
Let's end on that note. And if you're seeing this video and you're not part of our Facebook group, then you should check out the tribe. We have over 25,000 plus awakened individuals getting together and growing themselves over in our Facebook Awaken the Shift group. We encourage you to connect with many like-minded individuals. Chances are many of your friends and family could use some direction on how to cope with the life changes they are experiencing too. So be sure to share our webcast with them. If you find this webcast to be valuable and would like to find out more, look at the announcement tab on the Awaken the Shift page.
Also, Todd, I will get the link, because you can't share from this this site. So, can we do that? Is it on?
No,
Live?
you
I
told me not to do it.
I don't know that I'm going to have a link for you.
Oh, so we want to. I shouldn't have got rid of all that.
Well, that's something to think about, definitely. So.
All right. So other than that, any last words, Anna?
Yeah, I just wrote in the comments, before you go, please take a minute to share one aha moment that you got from the live stream. That'll help other people as well. And my last word?
Yeah.
I know it has to do with embrace. And because we want to encourage everybody to do your best to embrace changes, invite change. Again, take a step into the change if what you're hearing. If you're finding it difficult, ask questions until you understand the new paradigm. That's what it is, a new paradigm. Change is imminent. Big changes are those imminent change. Okay, yeah. I'm talking over myself here. But I think for now, create a great day.